Alright guys, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of MotoGear TV, and I hope everybody is having a productive Sunday as we are. So today we're going to be making some more progress on the Yamaha R1 build as promised. I actually have Mark behind me. We're actually going to be doing the forks. We're going to be replacing the old ones that were bent with some brand new ones that we got online. I have Mark show you guys right here. And yeah, pretty much we're going to be installing them, taking the bike on its first test ride, making sure that everything runs smoothly, and from there we're going to continue the progress. So as usual, let's get started guys. As you guys can see, we did some decorations to the garage, have the Yamaha flag and also the Jamaican flag as well. What do you guys think? Should we put a BMW flag on this side? Let me know in the comments. Alright, so here we have the old forks. As you guys can see, definitely not straight. This one is not parallel with that one. It did have a bend in it due to the crash. It was a front end collision. But right now, these are definitely unusable. Initially, we did want to try and get them repaired with new sleeves and new internals, but we thought it would be much easier for us to just pick up a used set and then work from there. So right here we have the used pair. They're in pretty good condition. We got them online. The only thing we need to address with it is to change the fork seals, which is right here. We have brand new fork seals to be put on later. Initially right now, all we want to do is just to put them on just to make sure that everything on the bike performs normally, and then after that we're going to be servicing the forks later on. I have the master mechanic Mark here about to start the process. Nice. Yeah, master mechanic Mark trying to loosen up everything. It should be pretty easy to get these forks off. From what I understand, we have to loosen these two bolts right here on both sides. You also have to release this bolt right here, and then I think there's another one right here as well. From there we'll be able to slide it off in theory and put the new ones on. So Mark, you want to walk us through the first initial steps?
Well, at this point the front wheel has come off, the front fender has already come off, so we already did a lot of the work prior to this. So at this point it's really just a matter of taking the calipers off this retaining bracket here on the fork leg and then just loosening up 6mm screws. There's two here, one here, and then one more here, and then after that in theory it should just slide right out. So let's go ahead and get that started. Fork is out.
I know that we really wanted to compare both of them side by side.
I guess this is correct side.
So side by side, you can definitely see this one right here definitely has a bend right in that little section compared to the new fork, which seems to be pretty straight. Next we're going to get the other side taken off, and then we're going to install the two new ones.
Not as bad as the first one, side by side. So this one is actually in pretty good condition.
Most of the impact was on the left side, so that's why you can definitely see that this one for sure more of a bend, and you can definitely see from the groove right here, definitely bent out of shape. Alright, so as you guys can see, taking off the forks is a pretty simple procedure once you have the right tools. We did have to use a rubber mallet just to get it off because it was a little bit stuck on there. Right now we're just going to be cleaning up the new forks that we're going to be installing, getting them lined up properly, putting back the wheel, and then hopefully everything rides properly.
Sometimes you have to wiggle these things around to get them to go in. Yeah. Now these are side specific. You want to make sure that when you're reinstalling them, that you install in the correct side. We already know that this is the inside of the fork tube. This side goes on the left or right.
Alright, so continuing where we left off, we have both of the forks installed, as you guys can see. But we seem to have stumbled upon another issue. And if you can look right there, it's still not straight. Upon further inspection, we kind of looked at it from the top, and we think that the lower tree clamp might be bent because the impact was from the front. Might have caused this to be pushed in slightly, and that's why it's still not lining up properly. At least for right now, we're just going to put the wheel back on, at least make sure that the bike rides to see if we find any more issues, and then we're going to come back and address the lower tree clamp once that is done. Perfect. Alright, we're making some pretty good progress so far. As we were putting on the wheel, unfortunately, we found another issue that we ran into. But what is any build without a little bit of controversy? Mark ended up finding that the axle for the front wheel is slightly bent. Yeah, so as you guys can see, right there in the center where Mark's finger is, we discovered that there's a slight bend. There was a little bit of an issue trying to get the front wheel back on, as we've experienced previously. Based on that, we definitely have to get this part changed out. So with that being said, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and order the part online and come and tackle this project in another day.
Alright, so it's been about a week since we last left off. Finally got some parts in to hopefully finalize this front end, and let me show you guys what we got. Alright, so we finally got the pieces in that we need to finish the front end on the R1. As you can see, it's still slightly off even after we did our micro adjustments, and we're really thinking that the lower triple clamp probably has a slight bend in it. It's very close. We got it, honestly, I want to say 90%. Right here it still is off ever so slightly, so we just went ahead and ordered another lower triple clamp. Here it is. We actually ended up getting a good deal on this. I decided to get one that already has the bearings and the top nut, just in case the ones that we have are slightly damaged. I'd rather have that. And also, we went ahead and got a replacement front axle. Easy way to tell is when we went to put in the axle that came on the bike, that's as far as it will go. Like, it won't go into the wheel. And then the new one slides right in. So we definitely know the axle was bent, and we definitely needed to get a new one. Alright, so we have the bike on the front stand right now. To remove the lower triple clamp, we're gonna have to suspend it somehow. So I just grabbed 2 of my floor jacks. I know it's not the best way to do this, but I'm kind of limited on tools, so we just have to work with what we have. Alright, we're in business. The jacks seem to be holding up pretty good. I'm definitely gonna be very cautious while I'm working on the front of the bike, because I definitely don't want this thing to tip over. So yeah, let's go ahead and start the disassembly. So the forks are now off, so we're really in the clear. Honestly, doing this job is a lot easier than if you had all the fairings still in place, because you know we have a lot less work and a lot less things to take off. So it actually wasn't that bad, or hasn't been that bad so far. But based on the looks of it, the only thing left to remove is bolts for the bracket for the brake line, these two bolts that hold in this plastic shroud, and then disconnect the steering stabilizer from these two bolts right here. From the top, we just have to remove the top yoke nut, remove the triple clamp, the top triple, and then this whole assembly should just slide out. So let's get it. We have the top nut loose. Before I go ahead and pull the whole triple assembly down, I just want to remove the clip-ons by removing these two screws up top, and then honestly that should be it. I might take off the bracket for the brake fluid reservoir, and then that should be it.
In order for Mark to get more leverage to take off this little nut, I'm going to take off the upper fairing stay, so I'll give him a little bit more leverage when I'm trying to use the chisel. What exactly are we looking at right here? Can you explain?
This is just the bearings for the triple clamp. That's the top one, and then this is the bottom one. We can compare it to the new one and see if we can spot a difference. So just comparing the two, the old one seems to have more play side to side versus new one, a little bit less, almost none. So definitely look like it twisted more in this section right here. So and even looking from the back, you can tell this was the side that got the hit. You can see that it's kind of tilted back versus on the right side. Where, let's see if I can show you. So this is straight, and then we move over. You can see it's a little bit twisted, and then compared to the new one, it's more flush on both sides. Alright, so before we put in the new bearings, we're just going to apply some grease onto it. And we're probably going to reuse some of the old grease that's in there. So now we just go back in. Start with this piece on there first. Alright, so now that we have the lock nuts on, we can go ahead and reinstall the top triple, like so. Get it into place, add the washer, and then the nuts. And before we go ahead and tighten this, we'll reinstall the clip-ons.
Yeah, just as a reference, guys, these right here are the old ones, not to be mixed up with the new ones that we just put on.
Alright, our stabilizer is bolted up, so right now the only thing left to do is pull the forks in and see how it looks. So just as a quick highlight for next week's episode, we're actually gonna go ahead and replace the radiator, because as you can see, it took a big hit and it's definitely warped to the side.
Yeah, that's not supposed to stay that way.
Yeah, this is definitely a no-go. But we already showed you guys we had the replacement radiator in already, so that should be a good swap. So stay tuned for the next episode and we'll get that in. So moment of truth. We're gonna put the fork in. we're in. So this side gave the most problems, so if we improved anything. Alright, just like that. And that actually went in pretty easy because as you saw previously, we had to hammer it in just to get it to this point. So definitely think we accomplished what we needed.
Yeah, just to show you guys, remember that issue that we had where the forks weren't lined up parallel to each other? No more issues like that now. Just right. So what are we doing right now?
Just torquing the top yoke nut.
Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and get the wheel put back on. Just need to get the bike back on the front stand. We should be able to finish up, good to go. And hopefully take it on a ride.
Alright.
She's in. Alright, so while Mark is just finishing up the last things, I'm just gonna get the calipers put back on, tighten up a few bolts, and then hopefully do a quick little test ride as soon as everything is done. Wish us luck, and hopefully we can get everything done tonight. Alright, as you guys can see, there's not really any tension with the rotor now. Everything is kind of spinning freely.
Calipers go on easy. Honestly, I think everything's good to go now.
Yeah. It's a long time coming, guys. Trust me. I'm very excited about this. Alright, boys and girls, the moment of truth. We're gonna get this started up and hopefully it rides.